Today, we are back with church culture, talking about church growth. Let's talk about that. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Thank you for joining us on Let's Talk About That, McNairy County's greatest podcast.
The best.
Only the best, because Pastor's here.
Is there another pastor in the room?
No, silly, it's you. It's you. Okay. So yes, today we are back with church growth. And our guests, we will delve into these waters after our series of favorite topics, which is the jokes of the week.
Woo woo!
You got these?
I got jokes. You already got jokes.
This is true. You're going to love this one. What is the best way to carve wood?
I have no idea.
Whittle by whittle.
I like it.
So I used to work for a calendar manufacturing facility, but I got fired because I took a day off.
Oh, my word.
Oh, this one's terrible, but I had to include it. What is Beethoven's favorite fruit?
I have no idea.
Banana. Great. Yeah, that one was bad, but I was like, I got to use it. And finally, to the person who stole my Microsoft Office account, I will look for you and I will find you. You have my word.
Great. Oh, my.
I had to go just a slight bit Liam Neeson there. I have a particular set of skills. I will find you.
Word skills.
I got a few Excel skills, but it's the only thing I excel at.
Wow.
That one was unscripted. Oh, goodness. All right. We is back talking about church culture, and church growth is our topic for this. And we got halfway through last week. So I figured
We got through the best half.
Yeah. Oh, no. I take that back. So yes, we will dive into the rest of this. But last week, let's go ahead and do a catch me up. Oh, wait. I had it right here in front of me and totally forgot it. We got another fan letter.
Yeah.
Do this real quick. Listen to it. Oh, yeah. You can tell it's real. I'm not just making this up. It's totally not just a random piece of paper.
I mean, we can't see it. You may
This
be making up what it says.
This is true. It could just be a blank piece of paper. But I got it. And it's very fancily wrote in cursive. I'll have to test my brain skills here. It's an even better podcast. Thank you, Mr. Jude Whitley. Give him a big hand, audience.
Jude.
Oh, I love it. I still have the last one. I will not be throwing these away.
You know, when he hears that, he's just going to write another letter.
Will he? It's a good way to keep getting them. I love it. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I figured once I've seen this, I was like, I bet he stole this stationery from his dad. It's like, it's kind of fancy stationery.
From his mom.
Just the fanciest of little stationaries. It's so nice. Okay. Now we will cover last week's topic.
She's going to kill him.
That was her private stationery. That's for nobody. Oh my gosh.
In trouble.
All right. So last week, sorry, still thinking. Anyways, last week we talked about in the church culture. Today we see a lot of people, a lot of places, a lot of social medias that are obsessed with numbers. How many likes can we get? How many followers can we get? You know, all these things that we get. How many views can we get on our videos and all this great stuff. But we talked about how do we maintain the integrity of the church. So that was a great first question, and you did some amazing answering on that. And the second one, should churches measure their growth by attendance?
Mm-hmm.
So some really great questions. And if you have not
missed
heard those answers, you need to go back and listen to
Stop
episode
right now. Go back.
Exactly. Don't go any further. Turn back right now to episode 70. I just scroll and see what it was. I was like, I don't remember what this is on. So today is episode 71, the continuation of this. But yeah, and I had listened back over this and try to figure out the things that we had said. But I really liked where you were talking about how church growth isn't just one of those like drastic jumps to the tops of the mountains. It's more like an ocean. It's going in, it's coming out, it's going in, it's going out like the tide of the ocean. And that is a very realistic statement, because we can't look at church growth as this graph that's just skyrocketing and dips and dives and all this, because that's not realistic. We do have to take a step back and understand that church growth, Lord, we'll get it right eventually. Church growth is not just a numerical thing. I mean, it is, because we are out to save as many souls as possible.
Sure.
Teach as many Bible studies as possible. But more importantly, church growth is something that's happening within. It's the discipleship of the church, of the congregation. And church growth is really represented a great way, like you said that. And it's an in and out thing, because, we take steps forward, we take steps back, we take
Absolutely.
steps forward, we take steps back.
Yeah.
And that's just life. And that's a great way to look at it, because you don't need to be, not sad. You don't need to be disappointed when those numbers, so to speak, decline a little bit.
Well, let me ask this question: If you had 100 guests this coming up Sunday,
right,
that were hungry and seeking, they're seeking after God. You've got 100 people that need to be in a Bible study, 100 people that need somebody to disciple them, but you don't have the manpower.
Exactly.
Let's say you had 100 soul revival. They came to the altar, they repented, they were baptized, filled with the Holy Ghost, and you say, the church just grew by 100, but 3 weeks from now, there's not one left, because there was nobody to disciple them.
Right.
Or would you rather have, let's just think about it this way. What if there was only one a week for the entire year, but you could disciple them? Right. Or let's just say there were
one a year, one a month.
If you had one a year,
yeah,
you've done better than having 100 that prayed through, received the gift of the Holy Ghost, but you could not sustain it.
Right.
It's kind of like when Jesus told the disciples to drop their nets, and they dropped a net.
Oh.
And the net broke.
Yeah.
A lot of times we go fishing with a net, and we're dragging in this great big harvest, but the net breaks.
Oh man.
And I preached that message one time, the ones that got away. Sure, there's some that decide, we're not interested. I'm not talking about the ones that come and visit, right, and they're trying to decide, do I want to pursue this God thing? Is that what I'm doing? I'm talking about the ones that had a conversion experience. They repented, they were baptized in Jesus' name, filled with the Holy Ghost, evidence speaking in other tongues, but then they just kind of fade away. Is it because they didn't want to live for God, which is what we often blame it on?
Right.
Or is it because there was no disciple makers in the local congregation? Is it because there was nobody there to make disciples out of them? We can't pray. We can't pray for 1,000 soul revival, but there's no way to sustain it. There has to be, for the church today to work like the New Testament church, we have to use that same model. we have to be disciples and we have to be disciple makers. If everybody in the church would just disciple one person a year, next year it would double.
Yeah.
Now,
and not just double, because
people look at that and they're like,
yeah,
well, then the next year you would double. No, you would be quadruple what you were the first year.
Yeah.
That's how
impactful it is.
Discipleship is multiplicative.
Yeah.
It's multiplied that many times over. It's not, at first it looks slow. It's like, oh, well, I don't know. This is gradual. Thank God that it's gradual, because He's given us an opportunity to disciple and make disciples.
It'd be like planting a tree, expecting it to spring up.
Yeah.
Overnight. Let's say we sprinkle magic dust on it, and it springs up overnight and starts sprouting out 100 apples. Wow, yeah. What an incredible feat! But then, as soon as it does that, it falls over and it's dead, because there was no strength built up into the wood and the structure and the integrity of the tree, because it literally sprung up overnight.
Sure,
it can't be sustainable. It can't be maintainable.
That's right.
And if we look at ourselves in the natural, in any aspect and regard, really, you can't say, oh, success overnight. Yeah, look at that. But again, it's not maintainable. It's not.
No, there's no way you can sustain it.
Yeah, exactly. And this is leading us really great into our first question. But I did want to throw in the story that you shared last week about pastor, and they were constantly discipling people and sending people out.
Yeah.
And, the attendance of the church, may not look super impressive. But then when you look at the fact, they've sent out 200 plus people.
That's right.
That are now preachers and teachers and evangelists.
They're
and all these other
pastoring churches and missionaries.
And working in other churches. You look at those types of scenarios and you're like, yeah, but the success is there, even though the quote unquote attendance. And, that's another reason we don't necessarily just need to jump back and look like, this church runs 5,000 people. It's got to be an incredible place. But is it really?
Yeah.
And leading us to our first question of today, had to figure out how to word that. Our first question of today: what are some types of church growth? And are there any types that are healthy versus not healthy types of church growth?
Yeah, that's good. Some types of church growth that I see. Number one, there is natural growth.
Right.
Natural growth is you have married couples that are having babies.
That's good. Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that.
You have babies that are being born. And I've heard a lot of people say, well, because we have a lot of kids right now, it's one of our largest groups. It's not our largest group, but it's one of our largest. It's the second largest group that we have. And when you look at them, there's a lot of people that'll say, "Wow, look at the church that we'll have whenever they're young adults, whenever they get married."
Right.
Okay, I know that at least half of the ones here will probably get married and move to a different church.
Right.
Second thing is you cannot have real church growth naturally. There cannot be enough babies born to keep the church growing, because at the same time, there's going to be people that are dying.
Yes.
And it always, I don't care how many babies are born, it always ends up averaging out to where the same number are being born that are passing away, so that the number never increases. You can't grow a church that way. Now there is that natural growth. So if you don't do anything, the church stays just about the same naturally. If you're not intentionally, or if you're not being intentional about growing, if you're not being intentional about reaching other people, then the church, it stays the same naturally.
That's
because
good.
There's the natural decline at the same time that there's that natural growth happening because of babies. And then I really think that there's three types of growth in a church. One could be considered maybe by some as growth, but really it's not. It's swelling. And anytime something swells, it's because there's an infection and it needs a doctor.
Come Come on now.
So the first one is the natural growth, babies being born. The second one that I would consider is transfer growth. It's other apostolic people moving in and joining the local congregation. I thank God for the godly transfers that we have. However, this cannot be the main way that the local church grows. It cannot be the main way that the apostolic church is growing.
100%.
Everything that we do. So our promotions and advertisements, whatever you want to call them, Facebook posts, whatever. As a church, my vision to the media team and to those that are promoting the church is I don't want you to make it look good for other church people. That's not my intention.
Right.
We are trying to reach lost people, not trying to reach saved people from other congregations by displaying what we have to offer. We are trying to reach the lost. We're trying to reach the lost world. So Facebook post, whatever, these campaign things, we want it to be, we're trying to target lost people. We want them to see that they can come in, they can be converted, they can be healed, they can be delivered. Drug addictions can be conquered through the Holy Ghost. We want them to see that. I am thankful for the godly transfers, and I think that they have helped us, and many have moved in from different cities. But I don't think this can ever be the main way that the local church grows. I don't think that should be. And when I say it, I'm saying we should not be targeting the saints from somebody else's church. I'm pretty hard lined about that. When somebody does come, my first question is, have you had a conversation with your pastor? Did you leave because you were upset at your pastor? If so, you need to go make it right with him, and then we'll talk. Bring a letter. I'm going to call your pastor. Some people, they come and they're, there's no need to call because I've already talked. No, I'm going to call. That is my responsibility. As a pastor.
No, don't call mom and daddy. They totally signed this letter.
It's unethical. It's unethical not to.
Right.
It's unethical to try to, just open up the gate and let another shepherd's sheep come in.
Right.
So that you can produce more wool or whatever. That's unethical.
The Bible speaks to that too, about wolves and sheep's clothing.
Sure.
And if you just open up your gates to anyone and everyone to come running in.
Sure.
Now I get it. The church is a safe house. Yeah, it is. But it doesn't mean that we should let each and every person come running in to
That's right.
target and destroy from within.
Sure.
Because that's the true way to destroy a church or anything, is from within.
I will say that with transfers, even if we have a transfer, even a godly transfer,
right? It
doesn't matter to me who it is that comes in before they are used in any leadership capacity. They must be here for at least 6 months.
Right.
They've got to be here 6 months.
I like that.
If they come with a letter of recommendation, they move from a different city, 3 months. It's 3 months minimum, but most of the time it's 6 months. And they have to go through the first 2 levels of our church membership classes,
right?
Our connection classes. They have to go through both of those. It doesn't matter to me who they are. I don't care if they're general superintendent of whatever organization. They have to go through those classes if they're going to be used in leadership at the sanctuary.
That's good though,
because we don't know them. They don't know us.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about that.
No, it's good though, truly, because the church isn't, and as much as some people like to look at it this way, the church is not the corporate institutions like we have today in industry, to where they're out to steal. And I understand there's sometimes it has to happen, and it does happen, to where you get people from other competitors, and however that happens naturally, sure, or whatever,
corporate espionage.
Yeah, but I'm not for going out and just offering them and bribing them and trying to get them to come to your side just because you can pay them another $1.
Sure.
Because, they may be great leaders where they are, but not necessarily will they be not saying this for the church necessarily, but I'm looking at a lot of where I see people in industry right now. You know, they go steal these. No, he's the senior vice president, and he took their company from making $1 million a year to $20 billion a year. You know, yeah, but did they really?
Yeah,
because I've been in industry long enough that I've seen people come in, go, and yeah, they're just there to make another dollar.
Yeah,
and anyways,
well, even then, you know that they had a team where they were
exactly,
and they're coming as an individual. So, in the church, it's we don't grow the church by ourselves.
Right.
We understand that God adds to the church daily, such as should be saved. And we are planting, we are watering, but it's God that gives the increase, not us.
Yes.
So it's my intention as a pastor. I'm very intentional about that. I'm not interested in, you know, making it look good to other saints from other churches. I'm not targeting them with anyways. Let's move on. Then the third one is, so we had natural growth, we had transfer growth, and then we had intentional. Third one is intentional growth through discipleship. We have our discipleship seminar coming up next weekend with Sister Leanne Alexander. Super excited about that. That's a journey that we as a church have been on for the last decade.
Yeah.
You know, it's creating that discipleship culture in our church. It's awkward to try to get it started. There have been setbacks, there's been obstacles, hurdles to jump over. But discipleship is the most natural way to grow a church.
Yes.
Not only is it the biblical approach, not only is it the Jesus way
yes,
to grow the church.
Love it.
But it's natural. Every person that I know has at least one friend. And if you can make a friend, you can make a disciple.
Everyone except me.
It's that reach, connect, disciple. It's intentional. I'm reaching.
Yes.
And so I tell people all the time, it's good to invite people to church, but I would rather you invite them into your life.
Yes. 100%.
Instead of saying, hey, why don't you just come to church? We got church this Sunday at 10 o'clock. We got live classes. And then at 11, we got worship and preaching,
Yes.
Instead of saying that, why wouldn't we say, let's go have coffee together. I don't know what people do. Let's go fishing. Let's go.
Yeah.
And you connect.
Let's go hit up the gym and get some gains, bro.
You make a friend. And then from that, we make disciples. We can utilize programs to make friends, but this biblical approach to church growth, we really focus on intentional personal outreach.
Yeah.
As individual persons, we are intentionally reaching out every day of our lives. Who can I reach? And what does that mean? Who's within arm's length?
Ooh, that's good.
Who can I reach out and touch?
Yeah.
Because those are the people that I'm probably going to have the most influence with and the most opportunity to make that connection. Imagine if every one of us in the church, every day of our life, we were intentional about who we were reaching. We were intentional about whether we were making those genuine connections or not.
That's good.
I tell the leadership team here, if you are not spending time with people, don't expect them to join your team and help you. Don't expect them to come alongside you and get a hold of your vision. If you're not spending time with them outside of the church building, they're never going to get a hold of your vision because you don't have time to invest your vision into them. You got to pour that burden. You got to pour your vision into them. You can go to them all day long and they're going to keep telling you no, they don't want to be involved in your department because you're not invested in them.
That's so good.
And before they invest in the kingdom, you're going to have to invest in them. So I tell them, 24 to 48 hours. You need to spend that amount of time with them before you invite them to come along with you because they're not going to follow you. They're not going to just automatically say, oh, wow, you're such a great person. Let me just come along and do whatever you say. I don't care. You may be a great person, but nobody's just going to blindly follow somebody that's not invested in them.
Yes.
But if you'll invest in people, now some people not going to get involved in anything. That's fine. They can deal with Jesus on that. But we can make friends. We can make connections. And that's why we say reach, connect, and disciple.
Yeah.
because we have to reach out. Not only are we reaching, but then we have to make those connections. It's you get on first name basis, and then you make a disciple. If you can make a friend, you can make a disciple. That's from Brother Stan Gleason's book, Follow to Lead.
That's good.
So that's the three types of church growth: natural growth, transfer growth, and then intentional growth through discipleship. But there is, I will say this, there is I'm sure this doesn't happen anywhere but in West Tennessee. There is in our area groups of people that go from church to church, and it gives the illusion of growth, but really it's just swelling.
Yeah.
And, I had a conversation with a pastor about a week ago. This group, they've been to 15 different churches in the last 15 years, but the church is the problem. They can't find a good church.
Wow.
It might be time to look at it and say, maybe the church isn't the problem. Maybe the pastor isn't the problem. Maybe the saints aren't the problem. Maybe I'm the problem. Sometimes we do have to look in the mirror, and sometimes we do have to hear the words of the artist. Starts with the man in the mirror.
My wife tells me that sometimes.
You have to be honest. It's frustrating for a pastor to see a group like that come in and give the illusion of a little growth. Maybe a little help, I wish we could do a little bit more in this area or that area. And then they get upset over the temperature because it's 1 degree off, and then they up and leave. That's frustrating.
Yeah.
But there is that moving group. I was going to say that moving congregation. They do congregate, but they're not a church. They are just, it's amazing that they haven't found somebody among them to pastor them, but they can't even get along amongst themselves. But that really happens, and
more like a group of locusts that just flies in.
They're nomads, is
devours.
What they are. There's no accountability, and it's not a local problem, because I've talked to pastors all over the United States that say that there's that group in our area too. They do the exact same thing. They all huddle up, 15, 20 people. And they move from church to church. When they get upset, they just move on to the next one. I prayed a selfish prayer one time, and I really
never.
I received a knife under the fifth rib.
Oh.
It's tempting for a pastor to look at the congregation and say, I wish we could do this, and then say, Lord, send us some people to help us. Well, I've learned in 10 years that if you don't have the manpower to do it, stop trying to be something that you're not.
Right.
If you only have 3 Sunday school teachers, you don't have to have 17 classes.
This is true.
You don't have to frustrate you don't have to frustrate what's available.
Yeah.
You don't have to extend what's available. There's
yourself.
There's no reason. We're not trying to keep up with anybody.
Right.
There's no reason to have a class for every single grade. No, that's impossible. You can't have a program for every single person. That's just frustrating. If you've only got one singer, then let that one singer lead the congregation in song. You don't have to have 4-part harmony and your piano player
50 people behind you
run every scale and arpeggio on the keyboard. You don't have to have a studio drummer like we have. You don't have to have you don't have the best of the best. You don't have to have all of those things to have a church service.
For real. We
can frustrate ourselves by saying, I wish we could do this. Well, if you can't do that right now, wait until you grow. Focus on the growth. Focus on investing in the people that you do. Okay, so let me get back to the prayer. I prayed the prayer.
I forgot.
Lord, this was 10 years ago. First year pastoring.
Oh my goodness.
Lord, send us some people to help us. And the reply was so instant. You wouldn't have to pray for anybody to help you, to come help you, if you'd use the people you have.
Wow. I wish I had a truth bomb drop right there.
If you would invest in the people that I've already sent you.
Oh.
And build upon that. And I've often thought, and I'm going to talk about it tonight.
That's good.
when the children of Israel came out of Egypt, God made sure they had everything that they needed. And when he got ready to give them the plan for the tabernacle, he did not make that tabernacle plan require anything other than what those people could give.
Right.
Everything that he required, the people were able to give it. The people were able, and I believe that happens even today.
Absolutely.
That what God requires of us in the local church, he has placed in the local church. And as we grow, I think that God expands our spiritual vision and says, okay, it's time to move into this area now. And it's okay for a pastor to look and say, one day I'll get to this. And I'm guilty. I'll do whatever around the church. I don't care what it is. Change the light bulbs, clean the toilet. I don't care. It's that's part of it. And sometimes the guys will come up to me and they'll say, I got this. And there's like, you need to be doing other things. And I say, when we're running 300 people, I might not be able to do this, but right now I am. So I'm gonna help too, where I can. But there has to be something inside, not just the pastor, but church leadership that understands that we can attempt to do too much and fail and feel like total failures. Do what you can.
You're right.
And wait on the rest. I'm a firm believer that God has given us everything that we need in the local congregation to accomplish what he wants us to accomplish right now.
You're 100% right.
People will really surprise you if you'll create an atmosphere of forgiveness rather than an atmosphere of criticism.
Yeah.
If you will stop, and let me just talk to maybe another pastor or spiritual leader out there, church leader. If you will stop criticizing the people that you are pastoring, stop talking about them, stop running them down. I know you probably don't do it to their face, but stop talking about them when you're in your house. Don't think those evil thoughts about them, because once you do, when you are critical about people, you're never going to invest in them. You're never going to invest in their future and in their potential if you're criticizing them. You're never going to do it. You can say, they're just a bunch of losers. The best people are disguised as losers. I promise you.
You such were some of you.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
people will
surprise
you.
Absolutely a loser.
Create an atmosphere of forgiveness. Look at your congregation. Never, church leaders, never compare your congregation and the people you're leading to somebody else's congregation.
Yeah.
That's unwise. It's ignorant. How you talk about the people that you serve, how you talk about them in private is evident by how they respond when there's a need in the church. Because they know how you feel about them regardless of what you say. They know how you feel about them. I believe in the future of the sanctuary because I believe in the people at the sanctuary.
Yes.
There are people that go above and beyond. There's no way you could ever recognize it. And there's times in my life where I realize when I do something, I want to do it right. I think we should. I know that we can't reach perfection, but we should strive for it. We should.
Yes.
If I'm going to do anything with excellence, it's going to be everything that I attempt in the kingdom. I'm going to do it with excellence, and that's my expectation for other church leaders.
Yes,
is to have that expectation of excellence. We are going to do everything with excellence because this is a kingdom thing. This is not a natural man. This is not a natural kingdom. This is a spiritual kingdom that we're building. People know if you really love them.
Yeah.
And they will know if you really believe in them. You can't just say it, but they know if you really mean it or not.
Oh yeah.
If somebody texts you and says, "I believe in you," they know if you really do or not.
Yes. I was going to say, it'd be like to your family, your wife or your kids or your husband or whatever, just saying I love you versus showing that you love them is two totally different things.
Absolutely. Me and another minister were talking about this week. Jesus even said, "Okay, big deal. I say the right words. I preach truth." He said, "Don't believe me unless I do the works of the Father that sent me."
Yeah.
If I don't do the works, even if I say all the right words, don't believe it. He said, only believe what I'm saying if I'm backing up my words with my actions.
That's so good.
Because if we really believe the words, the right words, the truth that we're saying, we're going to back it up with our actions.
Yeah.
It will be evident. It will reflect in our actions.
It's so good. And a lot of that is covering our next question that we was going to ask is what should healthy church culture and growth look like? And we've pretty much summed those up.
The biblical model is still the best.
It is.
It's, discipleship, make friends, make disciples, reach, connect, disciple. It's powerful. It's simple. That doesn't mean it's easy, but it's simple.
Yeah.
Church growth was never meant to be a difficult concept to understand. He even told the disciples, he said, as you go, preach.
Yes.
What do you mean as you go? Oh, well, where are you going today? Okay, while you're going, on the way that you're going, you don't even have to go out of your way to make disciples. It's on your way, the way that you are already going, make disciples as you go.
Yes.
Preach the gospel as you go.
It's incredible.
And that culture has to be taught. It has to be preached. It has to be practiced. It has to be taught, preach, practice, taught, preach, practiced, taught.
Yeah, and it has to be something that is obtained by every member of a church body, not just the pastor, because the pastor needs to be that way and believe those things and preach and teach those things. But it can't be just all on him. And then it can't just fall to the pastor and the church leadership only, but it's got to be the whole body working together.
Yeah, that's right. As a pastor, my goal is to, demonstrate or, really lead by example.
Yeah.
But one thing that we fail to remember is sheep begat sheep. Sheep produce sheep.
Yes.
I mean, we have to, as saints, we have to get involved in the work.
Yes.
We can't just
100%.
We can't sit back and expect our pastor to do all the reaching, all the teaching, all the preaching, all the administrative stuff. As the church grows, that's one thing that I've had to grow in as well. It's less in some of the other areas and more in administration. I think Jesus took 12 men because that's all that one person can handle at a time.
Yeah.
That's even example. Major corporations, the max departments that they're going to have is 12.
Yeah.
Because one person cannot lead more than 12 departments.
Right.
It's just too much going on. So as a pastor, I've learned that, there's some of the things that I've had to entrust to other people. And I'm telling you, people will surprise you. They will blow your mind. The ones and this is what's amazing to me, the ones you think, oh, they're going to do great. Nah. But it's the ones just like, I'm not sure. And they do. They just blow your mind.
That's incredible.
I was talking to Sister Whitley this afternoon, and I said, it's just listening to people and seeing them take something and run with it. It's like if you would just take the restraints off of some people, they'll get a hold of your vision, and they will take it and they will just run with it. You give them a task, and they'll just blow your mind with what they can do with their ingenuity and their imagination. Stuff that you had never considered. But you have to be willing to trust the people that God has placed in your care as a spiritual leader.
Oh, so good. Yeah. So to kind of recap us on that, first was natural growth. Second was transfer growth.
Yeah.
And third was intentional growth. And one of the negatives or the unhealthy church cultures would be the swelling of it.
Sure.
So if they're swelling, something must be wrong.
Yeah. So,
look at that and see what's going on.
Swelling means there's an infection somewhere.
Yes.
And, that potential is there for every church to have some swelling. But when the swelling goes down, or when the when the antibiotics are administered and the swelling goes down, it's not growth. You soon realize it's not real growth. No, it was an infection and something was wrong.
Yeah, going back to the tree analogy earlier with a tree shooting up or any kind of plant shooting up overnight, that would be considered swelling, because swelling is something that happens quickly. It's nothing that happens, you wouldn't happen in week or a month's time being like, oh, it's just swelling. No, maybe you're visiting the donut shop a little too much.
Come on, somebody.
Just personal experience speaking here, but but just like in the natural, if we're growing muscle or training for exercise or sports or whatever, like if you instantly overnight do something like, no, that's not growth, that's swelling of some sort. Like something's wrong. Like you don't put on 20 pounds of muscle overnight, something's wrong.
Is that what happens?
No, it shouldn't happen. If it does, you definitely want to visit your doctor. But kind of along those lines, I wanted to throw in on that last one with the intentional growth because it sounded so good with it was don't look for excuses and just settle for excuses. Again,
That's good.
I'm a fan of it. I'm a fan of exercise and working out and all this great stuff. And I love to watch these, I'll go ahead and say motivational videos, so to speak, but they'll pop up and they'll talk about like, look, stop looking for excuses to get your life healthy. Stop eating junk just because it's convenient. Stop making excuses why you can't exercise because they'll show, look, you don't have to have this fancy gym with all this equipment because even if you have that, you're probably not going to use it.
That's right.
They're like, you can go completely to just pure body weight workouts and get 100% healthy.
Yeah, get out on your street and walk.
Yeah. And it's so true because, in churches, we don't just need to look for excuses and settle for excuses and say, well, it's just because I'm from a small area, where church is just never going to grow. Or we, like you were talking about a while ago, we just don't have the talent. So, we'll just never grow. Don't look for those excuses and settle for them,
That's right.
Truly work at it and let God work. And
that's good.
He'll take care of it. So I'll go ahead and say our book recommendation, probably the one from last week, was excellent again.
Let's keep the same one.
Which was?
The Journey of a Disciple Maker.
The Journey of a Disciple Maker.
Follow to lead.
Yes. Brother Stan Gleason. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's a great book recommendation on that. So anything else you would like to add, Pastor?
Thank you for challenging us. It was excellent.
Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for all the amazing words and everything you've had for us.
Got it from ChatGPT.
Yo! Oh, I was fixing to use sound effects. But I was on the wrong board. All right, I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us on this podcast journey today. Thank you for being part of the kingdom of God. I want to challenge you to go out and look for ways to serve in the kingdom of God. Look for ways to serve in your local church and teach some Bible studies.
Absolutely.
God bless you.